Well, I decided to make another video. I got done walking a little bit ago and I felt like I needed to come a different way and just look at the beauty around me. It's beautiful here. You can see the trees, the sky's blue today. It's really beautiful. The sun's behind me. There it is. Beautiful sunset. Always goes down, rises in the east and sets to the west. You know, I have a lot of things I want to share. Sometimes sharing them is kind of challenging because a lot of people get a lot of, 2 plus 2 equals 4 and ABC. This world is not like that. This world is multiple level, multiple dimensional. And I want to talk about that for a minute. You know, a lot of people I've met, a lot, they've had these, I don't like saying, yeah, I will, childhoods that absolutely was horrible. A to Z. I don't even like to name it. A to Z. So when they come to adulthood, or let me back up, when they come into young adulthood, they have all this programming, behavior, response, and there's a struggle inside of them. And it's a big struggle. They're like, my heart says this, I feel this, but I was shown this. How do I change that? And I'll go back to my first video. We get triggered. And those triggers show us that maybe what we thought was right about us, or thought was wrong with us, maybe wasn't wrong at all. Because this is how this illusion or game, simulation, however you want to view it, makes things. They make it real make believe. They make you think it's really real. They do. The only thing real is inside of you. The only thing that matters is who you are, not this world. So I want to talk about genetics a little bit. And well, not genetics. Let me rephrase it because I'm not a medical person at all. But let's talk about biblical. I'll make it in a little simpler way. I think it's Deuteronomy somewhere in there. Talks about family line curses. 500 years, 17 generations. See, our families back a long time ago were stupid. They did things, and it stayed in our genetics, in our DNA, in our RA. And sometimes in our life, that program that's been programmed in there for 500 years comes through the bloodline, comes through who we are. At least that's what that people say. And I've kind of studied it a little bit, but because I've learned to do ceremonies to help people to um, go in there and find out what it is. Because when you realize that 90% of what's going on is family line tree, family line curses, programs that just keep running and looping through family generation after generation after generation. And I think one of the reasons why this younger generation is here is to change that programming with grace and love and beauty. And you're starting to see it more and more. A lot more younger people are creating and being more themselves. That's going to be the future. So how do you break the program? How do you break out of the things that trouble you? Well, it's not that easy to get rid of, but in some ways it's very easy. And some of it you just gotta, for lack of words, just say, okay, who am I? Like I said, when you go within and you find who you are And then you can start figuring out when the triggers come. Like I had a friend that came out of a bad situation, and you know they didn't know how to respond because their conditioning and their programming. And when that trigger would come up, this person would say, "Henry, I realized that it wasn't me. That was something in me, a program or a thought, and I realized I had to change that thought." So what they started doing, when a trigger came up, they would take a breath, go, "Okay, what part of this is real and what part of this is unreal about me?" So in that, this person made a chart. She drew a line down the middle and she put the real me, the unme. She wrote down all the things about herself that was unreal and wrote on the other side what was real. And she kind of got a little sad because she had like 30 things on one side of the page that said all these unreal things about her. She only had like 10 pages, 10 lines of the real things about her. So she said, I'm going to work to change that side and bring it over to this side. That way I can get to know the real me. She spent 6 months and she did it. So when the triggers came, in my first video, I told you about triggers. When the trigger came, she just smiled because she knew it wasn't true. See, she knew. And as we rise up in that love vibration, higher and higher, higher, we're able to work past the triggers and work past the pain. Real or make believe, genetics, engineered, whatever. We're able to work past the pain. And as we really connect, then our heart, our throat, our voice, that's our voice box. We can speak our truth. So many people are afraid to speak their truth. We live in a society, if you speak your truth, you're going to be punished. You know, I don't like to live like that. I'd rather somebody look at me and tell me that just lay at me. I mean, tell me all the. I mean, just let it out. You're mad, let it out. You know. But I don't like people who just sit in your face and go, I think you're a great person. And inside they're thinking, you know what they're thinking? Oh, they don't want to be around you. They don't care. Um, they'd rather be doing something else. So make a list. The real you on one side and the unreal you, and change the unreal you to the real you. Simple stuff. You know, these people out here make videos and encourage and do all this stuff. You got to do this and walk through that. It's simple. Christ kept it simple. If you look at all the teachings, he even said it was simple. Go within, find your heart, find your energy essence, find your truth, and speak it out. And you'll be amazed how it changes. Because when people go to church, you say, look, I don't hear that, you know? And I'll tell you something else, too, to help you from being triggered. Karma dumping. And this happened to me quite a bit sometimes. They'll call you up and they got a problem. Well, my compassion and who I am, I'm like, okay, I'll go hear what they have to say now. I may pray for them. Or I may just go and share a ceremony with them or go for a walk, cup of coffee. But they'll dump all this stuff, all this trauma and drama and all this hurt and everything else, man. And you go home that night and you're laying in the bed and you're thinking about them and you're worried about them. And you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How can I help them? Well, then the next day you get up on Facebook or whatever social media you use, and they were partying, dancing, and you worried all night about that. Well, see, right there, the first thing But stopping triggers is setting your boundaries. Say, nope, I'm not going to hear that. I don't want to hear any gossip. I don't want you dumping on me. How are you really doing? Because if you're going to dump all this, I don't want to hear it. And you know what? Boundaries in your energetic field, in your mind, in your spirit, and your heart. And if you set those boundaries, then the triggers won't come either as much. They won't come because you already know. You know that it's a lie. And you just smile and say, hey, I appreciate you. And so maybe you'll realize that setting boundaries to a lot of people in your life really don't care about you. And once you start setting boundaries, then you'll start attracting people who actually really will care about you and be a friend. That's enough for today's video. Sometimes I rant, don't make any sense. Life doesn't anyway. But I share a little bit of my wisdom, and down the road, I think I'll probably go a little deeper on some things that I do know. One thing is Ephesians chapter 6, I think, verse 1, or I forget where exactly it is. To the praise, honor, and glory, wherein by you are accepted by the beloved. God and Christ loves us. The lie is that we believe we're separated from us. Have a good day and be blessed.